Welcome to the Interaction Media Podcast, a weekly conversation about all things marketing. I'm Paige, and I'm joined today by my colleague Dylan Sheldon. Dylan serves as the project manager for Interaction Media and brings a wealth of experience in marketing and video production. On his off days, you can find Dylan snuggled up on the couch with his favorite romantic novel. Welcome, Dylan.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're discussing digital advertising checklist. Dylan, what is digital advertising?
Well, there's a lot of different definitions for what digital advertising is, but I guess for the purposes of what we're talking about today, it would be helpful to use a more specific, narrow definition, and that would be that digital advertising is taking advertising dollars and spending them on a digital platform, and that could be anything like Google or a news site, an information site, and using that in a marketing campaign.
Gotcha. Well, how important is it to have a strategy for a digital advertising campaign? And then how much do these strategies typically cost?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, I guess that depends on if you're concerned about wasting money or not. If you don't want to waste your money, then having a strategy is very important.
Right.
Digital advertising is relatively new. I mean, compared to some of the legacy types of advertising that we've had as a society. Digital advertising, when you have a strategy, when you know what your goal is, who you're messaging to, what the message is, and what you're hoping to have people do with that campaign,
Right.
that's really the kind of strategy that you need to make sure that you're using your dollars correctly. That will help you to determine how much money you need to spend,
Yeah.
what platforms within digital advertising to use, and what words to use in those advertisements.
Right.
What was your second question?
And then how much do they typically cost, which is a factor for a lot of companies.
Yeah, absolutely. So the great thing about digital advertising is that it's pretty much for any business or organization that is in the digital space. So anybody
Gotcha.
who has a website or
Yeah.
a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page, digital advertising would be beneficial to them. And so you could start with a very, very small budget. Honestly, with $30 a month,
Okay.
and then it can go up to into the thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
What your money is going to get you is impressions, typically. So
Yeah.
the more you spend, the more impressions you'll get, and that's what's great. You can start with a small budget. You can scale it up if you're in a season where you don't want to be spending a lot of ad dollars. You can scale it
Right.
back, and it allows anybody from a very small startup business to a large corporation to be able to do a digital advertising campaign.
For those who might not know, what are impressions?
Yeah, so an impression is basically one way to look at it is traditionally in newspaper, you open up a paper and you see that ad right there in print. In digital, when you go to a website and you're served an ad,
Yeah.
that's one impression. And now
Okay.
you could get multiple impressions. If you come back to that page and you get that ad again, that's 2 impressions and 3 impressions and so on.
Okay. Very nice. What are a few things that you think that companies should consider when they are constructing a digital advertising campaign?
Well, that list that I mentioned earlier, I think
Yeah.
is a great place to start. So let's go through that again. Number one, what are your goals?
Right.
That's the first thing. Any ad dollar you spend should be serving whatever your goal or goals are for that campaign.
Yeah.
Number two, who is your audience? Who are you messaging to? For instance, if your audience is a 50-year-old male, then maybe advertising on ESPN with a digital advertising campaign might be helpful. If your audience is maybe a younger female, then you might be spending some of those digital dollars in a social media campaign or something like that. So that's going
Okay.
to help you to determine where to use that money. And then what do you want them to do? So
Right.
different platforms are more conducive to different calls to actions and different pathways through advertising. Facebook is really great with allowing you to, through an ad, actually take you off of the Facebook platform onto a website, fill out a form and take action in that way.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just really want to get a message to somebody. And in that case, a lot of platforms will be very helpful with what's called a display ad, just a square or rectangular ad that pops up and will have your brand and your message on it. And then what is the message? That's really the big thing, right? So
Yeah.
what are you trying to say? What action are you trying to cause your audience to take? And when you can answer all of those questions, then I think you could be pretty comfortable that you're on the pathway to a successful digital advertising campaign.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that the more intentional you are with your campaign, the more you'll get out of your money, that you are investing into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, how do we help our clients at Interaction? How do we help them with their digital advertising efforts?
Sure. There's a variety of different ways that we help our clients, but I would say primarily we walk them through that process. We
Yeah.
know what the path is to take somebody from knowing that they need to advertise, or maybe they don't even know that,
Right.
and explaining to them these are the benefits and these are the things that we need to do to make sure that we're using your dollars in a wise way. We take them through figuring out what their goals are, who their audience is, or who their audiences are. What platforms we want to be on, what their budget should be, and
Right.
and then ultimately what the strategic message needs to be in those advertisements. And we do that for clients who spend $40 on a small retargeting campaign.
Okay.
And just briefly, retargeting is when you follow somebody who comes to your website and leaves, and then send them a digital advertisement in that way. A small campaign like that to clients who spend thousands of dollars monthly getting their ads across websites across the country
Yeah.
on all different types of news and information websites. And really, our goal in helping any of those types of clients is to come alongside them, to take the resources that they have and to be a good steward of those resources, and to help them to reach success, whatever that looks like, to help them to get more volume traffic to their website, to help them to get more patients if they're a healthcare clinic, to help them to get more customers and clients, and ultimately help them to find success, whatever that looks like for them.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Dylan.
Yeah, thank you.
Here at Interaction Media, we want to help you tell your story. Established in 2011, we've set ourselves apart as the go-to marketing agency in West Virginia. When it comes to clear, effective, and creative marketing strategies, we have the tools and the expertise to help your company succeed.